Hi everyone, today I want to talk to you about using personal stuff when it comes to your work as an actor. Most people read the lines and do them what we call neck up. Here's what we're looking for. I'll give you an example, and I only share personal knowledge just so you understand how to use it, okay? The golden rule is don't share it on a set. Don't tell people what you're using. You don't want people in your head. Having said that, use everything. Stella Adler used to say, I want your heart and soul on stage. I'll give you an example. My daughter passed away literally 3 months ago. I'm in her room now. So when I look around this particular room, obviously it's very strong. It's what we call heightened because she's passed away. When she was still around, it was her room, but it wasn't as heightened. And what we do as actors is we learn to heighten things. We'll do an exercise very soon so you understand that concept. Behind me, there's an American flag. It used to be hers. She was born in LA. My oldest son was born in LA, served in the army. When I look at that flag, it reminds me of my own journey to America. I lived there for 20 years. It reminds me of my son who served in the army for 5 years. It also reminds me of my daughter who's born there. I can choose which one of those categories to go in. That's the point of this. It's not just a flag. It means something to me. I look around her room. I see photos, her mirror, her desk. These things I'm connected to. When you turn up on a film set, and we're going to do this exercise now, most people turn up on a film set, they sit there memorizing their lines, or they get on social media, or they chit-chat. What you should be doing is getting on the set, telling the director, are we shooting in this room? Yes. And that's where you should be preparing. Not chit-chatting with the cameraman and the grip and all that stuff, cracking jokes, how was the weekend? You should tell the director to tell everyone to leave you alone. We're not arrogant. This takes time. Don't forget, the whole crew is also working. They're getting ready for the shot, and you should be doing the same thing. I'll give you an old example now. I want you to sit in your chair, and I want you to imagine you have a bedside table. We all have a bedside table, and there's a very, very good chance that at some stage you're going to do a scene that takes place in the bedroom. Most people do this. All right, we're shooting here. Here's the bedroom. Is this too far to the right? Is this I lean forward? They worry about all this shit. Don't worry about that shit. Your job is to make things personal and private. My bedside table is on my left-hand side. Now, when we're alone, there's things you can leave out there that don't matter. If we were all to get on a bus right now, come to your house and come to your bedroom, you're going to go, you know what? Give me a few minutes. Why do you need those few minutes? To take away what's personal, private, intimate. Those things feed you. If you live alone, it's okay to leave those things. During lockdown, we left a lot of shit on the bedside table. No one cared because you're in your room for months, whatever it was. But now I want you to understand this concept. Let's assume you had lines from a speech or a monologue or a scene. Those lines can be affected by what's on your bedside table or what's on the set equivalent. Our job is to make the set personal and private. It takes a long time to master this. Let's assume on your bedside table right now there's just a flower. Most of us turn up on a film set and it's set dressed by the art department. They put a flower there for whatever reason. If your character wants the flower, you leave it. If you feel like your character wouldn't have a flower there, talk to the director, negotiate, give reasons what and why. But let's assume there's a flower there. I could look at that flower. I could smell it. If the flower is nice and in bloom, it makes me feel a certain way. Now, if the character's married and the flower came from a girl, that's different because all of a sudden that flower affects me differently. If the flower came from my mother or the character's mother, that's different. The art department just put a flower there. You, as an actor, can make it, this is from my mistress, or this is from my mother, or this is from my best friend, or this is from my wife. I don't tell anyone, hey, I'm going to do one take now, and imagine this is, no one's business. This is why, especially in LA, they do many takes, and a good director will go privately to the actor, you know what, let's do another take. What if this was from the mistress and you don't tell the wife? Or they would go to the wife. Let's do another take. You know what, honey? He hasn't said anything, but guess who gave him that flower? It's got to make sense for the script. You don't just put a flower from a mistress there if there was nothing like that, if that's not the character. Do you know what I'm saying? This flower came from his garden, whatever it is. It's what they call adjustments. And great directors work with adjustments, not with results. So imagine there's a flower right there. Touch it. Don't just think about it. Touch the flower. It makes you feel a certain way. If you had words from a script, they would come out differently based on you feeding off the flower. The words, the connection to the words will come out differently. Let's assume you put a photograph of a loved one. I didn't know this, but I had a bunch of Polaroid photos on the top drawer. I didn't even see them. They're all from my daughter when she was like 2 or 3. I used to kind of rummage through there and kind of toss them aside. Now that she's gone, all of a sudden their value has heightened. Stella used to say, heighten your choices, but don't show them. All of a sudden those Polaroids have so much more value. Your job is to take whatever the art department puts there and heighten it. Because they're going to put a photograph of the girl playing my daughter, for instance. Would my character have it at the front, or would they put it in the top drawer? That's a choice I can make. Right now it's too strong to put at the front. I don't want to see her going to bed every night. It hurts too much. What's going on in the character's circumstances? Not yours, not your opinion. The character. Would your character put him at the front? Would they put him in a frame? Would they just stick them on the wall with blue tack, or would they just lay them there? How they do that is the character's choice. And you need to understand that. One character will put him in a frame, one will put him digitally, the other one, I just leave them there, just kind of floating around. I want you to put now an imaginary flower, an imaginary photograph of a loved one. And I want you to try a couple of things. Put there your favorite snack. What snack do you eat, especially when you're private? It's a very private and intimate thing. We all snack differently, especially during the lockdown, COVID, we all snack away. You know what I'm saying? Put it there. I want you to touch it and imagine there's a snack there. We're going to put 3 more things there so you understand the concept. I want you now, if you're doing this at home privately, I want you to take a pen and paper and write something about yourself that no one knows. This information is very, very private. If it was revealed, people would see you differently. So I want you to write a letter, 2 or 3 sentences, about something you've never shared with them. That doesn't have to be something you've done. It could be something you've thought of. Put it there facing upright. Finally, I want you to write down, let's find someone from your past or your life that doesn't like you at all. Imagine if they wrote you a note and saying, this is why I don't like you. This is why you're an asshole. But it's got to resonate with some sense of truth. So imagine that person wrote that letter, and it's right. You can't hide from this. This matters. Imagine they wrote your letter and said, this is why you're an asshole. There you go. And it's real. The brain has to accept that enough. Put that letter there. Finally, I want you to put something, imagination or real, something that's got to do with your sex life. Sex toy, whatever. Lingerie, something. Imagine that that's sitting there. Let's go with some kind of lingerie. It's sitting there. We all have them, let's be honest. We know when we're, getting ready for the night to do something sexual, you dress accordingly, you do whatever you do. But that's there. And finally, I want you to imagine, and I'm bulldozing this, by the way. You do this in class for months, not 10 seconds. I want you to imagine there's a cotton ball with blood on it. It's your blood. Where it comes from is irrelevant. It's private. Does it come from your nose? Did you cut yourself? I don't know. There's a dab of blood. So right now, on this bedside table, we've got a flower, a snack, a letter revealing something about myself, a letter revealing something that's someone's opinion about me. We've got the sexual thing. We've got a drop of blood on a paper. And let's add your bank account statement. There it is, all there. These are private things and they're exposed. I want you now to understand the potency of these things. Let's assume that these were there and your mum walked in the room. What would you put away? They all have different connections. If you were living alone at home, no wife, no kids, completely alone, and you were alone for a good month, you can leave them out. Doesn't matter. But what if, and we'll get the photo of the loved one. Some of those you might put away, it's up to you. What if dad came in? Different connections. The way that person would come in the room would literally affect my connection to the words, or the character's connection to the words, and literally affect the way the words come out. What if mom saw the blood? What if mom saw your bank statement? What if mom saw the snack? I don't know. It's all private for everyone. So now I want you to understand this. You're on a film set. You've got some words of a script with your partner who's lying over here. If in fact the art department or you and the director say, hey, I think that person would have an alarm clock or whatever, your job is to make those objects private and personal. Now, if they're not there, you can imagine they're there just by touching them. I imagine that piece of paper is there. I imagine that cotton ball is there. I imagine the sexual thing is there. I imagine the love letter is there, whatever it is. You don't tell anyone. And that's what you're doing while they're getting ready with the camera and the lights. And now when I'm talking to this person, I can imagine that it's right here in my hand. Or I can imagine that person can see that, because what I imagine this person seeing will affect me. And I can do one single take for each one of these objects, and the words will come out completely differently. I'm not acting. I'm not going, I'll act this and I'll act that. No, I'm letting it feed me. Remember, we've talked about having an actor's body. This is what we're talking about. It's just not just an idea up here. And you should all try this at home. Not once for 10 seconds. Try it once a week for a good half an hour with each object. Say lines. Walk around it all as if the other actor or the other character better can see these things. What if you're talking to the actor playing your partner and they have that letter in your pocket? Any one of those things. They will feed you differently. This way, I'm not just acting off the page. I'm not doing lines. This is why some great schools, especially in LA, you don't do lines for a year. Where most schools go, okay, let's do the lines. And they tell you how to do the lines. You're feeding the lines up here. I want you to learn to feed the lines from the circumstances and the surroundings and the person. And if you do get on a film set and you need to bring it in, don't bring in the real thing. Don't bring a real photograph of your daughter or the real sexual thing. Bring in substitutes for them. I've heard so many actors go, I'm substituting it. Well, how are you doing it? This is how you do it. Bring in a frame of the girl playing your daughter. Bring in something else, or a letter with 3 words on it. No one has to know what those words are. Or a flower. Don't bring in the real thing, because you're going to lose it. It's going to get destroyed. You'll be anxious about losing it. But now when I touch those props, I know what's behind them. And you can do it for a bedside table. You can do it for a restaurant, because you and someone used to come to this restaurant. You can do it when you look outside the window. I can see outside my backyard here. And the character looks outside. If it's raining outside, it will feed me differently. If it's gloomy and muggy and shit, if it's nice and warm and refreshing, the lines will come out differently. Night and day, most actors do neck up. I want you to master how to do this when you get on a film set. That's what you should be doing, not running lines. Any fucking banana can run lines. It's a skill and a craft. It takes years to master. But if you don't do it at your own privacy in your own home, you won't have it out there in the real world. That's what we teach. We teach this at the lab. We teach this on our online courses. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but they're also available here on YouTube channels. Try them. Try them so it becomes a craft. So you get on a set and you go, I've got this. I know what I need to substitute or make personal and private based on the circumstances of the character and based on who the character is themselves. Take care. We'll talk again soon.